Tonight on Nightline, UFOs, fact or fiction? Flying saucers, strange lights. Could they be proof of intelligent beings visiting Earth? Seeing is believing, why more and more people, even a former governor, are stepping forward to say UFOs exist and that other life is out there. Plus, jet-set kids, campfires, canoeing and private jets. Why the trip to summer camp is getting faster all the time.
From the global resources of ABC News, with Terry Moran in Washington, Martin Bashir and Cynthia McFadden in New York City, this is Nightline, July 6, 2007.
Good evening. There are believers and unbelievers, those who say they've seen the light, others who say they can't see a thing. We're not talking about the existence of God tonight, but whether UFOs actually exist. Unidentified flying objects, traditionally the stuff of science fiction, are now getting serious attention from scientists. A panel convened by the National Academies of Sciences, one of the nation's most prestigious scientific bodies, is calling for the dedication of more resources to examine the evidence for alien life. But will those blurred photographs and strange stories about flying saucers ever meet the standard of scientific proof? Here's ABC's Brian Rooney.
In 1961, astronomer and astrophysicist Dr. Frank Drake devised the Drake equation, which calculates the number of worlds with intelligent life capable of technologically communicating with us.
It passed right in front of us.
And it just skimmed by, didn't even make a sound, not even a sound.
Whatever it was went up and shot back up out over the trees, just like he was there and was gone.
In no other science would anybody accept just a few random anecdotal stories and grainy videos and blurry photographs.
We will examine scientific theories on interstellar travel.
It's that age-old question, are we alone in the universe? As the documentary Out of the Blue points out, brilliant and reputable scientists believe intelligent life does exist outside our galaxy.
I think one of the main changes that has taken place in recent years in astronomers' views of whether or not there might be other civilizations elsewhere in the universe has to do with the fact that we discovered dozens of other planetary systems around other stars. Now, in most cases, the planets are giant planets like Jupiter, not the kind that would harbor life. But where there are those kinds of planets, there are likely to be other planets, too, in those solar systems. And so we're optimistic these days about life elsewhere.
But then there's that other question that separates the scientists from the believers, the witnesses from the skeptics. If aliens are out there, have they come to visit us? James Fox is the producer of Out of the Blue.
They're flying around, they're here, they've been here.
And they appear to have incredible technological ability.
They fly rings around our fastest jets.
His documentary is an attempt to weed out the wackos and present credible witnesses who say they saw what looked like alien spacecraft. President Jimmy Carter.
I saw one, but I don't know where it just disappeared.
Mercury astronaut Gordon Cooper.
They're just typical saucer shape, double lenticular shape, metallic. And he lifted off, put the gear back in the well, and climbed out at a very high rate of speed and disappeared.
Even regular citizens who say they're as surprised as anyone.
I looked up, and all of a sudden, there was this, gotta say it, flying saucer.
You've got this phenomenon taking place that's never been properly explained. People want to know.
Why don't people get good pictures of it?
How often do you see a photograph of an accident taking place or an air crash taking place?
More often than you think.
The existence of UFOs is one of those things like the existence of God. Some people take it on faith, others say, show me.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
It is 60 years since reports of a UFO crashing in Roswell, New Mexico. Just this spring, the French government released its UFO archives. Fox's documentary attempts to at least convince viewers that UFOs should not be dismissed. He begins with what was in some ways an undeniable incident in Phoenix.
The case of the Phoenix Lights began on an evening in March of 1997.
Hundreds of people, many looking at the Hale-Bopp comet, reported seeing an array of lights and an enormous delta-shaped craft.
It's coming across the sky, And as it's moving, it's blocking and unblocking the stars. There's actually a shape.
My estimate of the size of the craft from the nose as it passed us where we lived to the end of the left wing that passed in front of us was over 5,000 foot long.
There was such an uproar about what people described seeing that we also did a story about it back in 1997. The first report of a strange flying object came at about 8:20 that night from a former police officer in Paulden, Arizona. Over the next 40 minutes, people gave similar reports of an object along a 200-mile route south to Phoenix and Tucson. At the time, then Arizona Governor Fife Symington called a press conference spoofing the whole thing.
Now I'll ask Officer Stein and his colleagues to escort the accused into the room so that we may all look upon the guilty party.
He said he just wanted to lighten the tension. But what Symington did not say then was that he also saw the object over Phoenix.
We all experienced a very exciting sighting of some kind of a craft of unknown origin.
Symington is an Air Force veteran and a pilot himself.
I mean, it was big, and it was solid, and as best as I could determine, it was wedge-shaped, and the leading edge that I saw had extremely bright lights on it.
Do you feel at any risk now, talking about this, that, oh, why now I join the ranks of the wackos?
Well, I don't, I know what I saw, I know what I believe, and I'm not afraid to say it publicly.
But he didn't think so when he was governor.
You're the governor, you don't want to be seen as a nut.
That's basically putting it in a very polite way, much more diplomatic, yeah. So I didn't think that I probably ought to add to the dialogue and the furor at that point in time.
But didn't you call the Air Force or anybody in the federal government and say, tell me what that was?
Yeah, I did, yes.
And they said?
They said, we don't know what it was.
The U.S. military's involvement in the UFO subject dates back to World War II. It began with the sighting by Air Force pilots of mysterious luminous orbs called Foo Fighters, which would pace aircraft during missions and then dart away.
Among other claims, Fox focuses on a 1980 report of UFO sightings at an American Air Force base in England, the so-called Bentwaters incident.
There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. Still.
3 former Air Force security officers told James Fox about actually touching a small, strange craft that landed outside the base.
The closer we got, the more the white light dissipated. But what appeared was a triangular craft. When we approached it, it was